me a sec. There we go. Right, and it's yeah. Okay, right. We can carry on because I've just linked it to the memory card. Right. Yeah. I think we should move on to the next question. You really did kind of went into detail, which I'm happy with. It's just kind of a question to get it started. But the next one is, what preparation do you do before performing a stunt or a fight scene?
Well. For me, you got to stretch. I mean, if you do any fights, any stunt, you got to stretch out. You got to loosen up everything. Because if you don't, you're going to pull something. You're going to hurt yourself. And if you don't learn the right stunts with the right team, I mean, you can do stunts and fight scenes with anybody, but it's got to be the right people, the right team who you work with. Martial arts does help in that. Again, compared to real life martial arts in competition to screen fighting in martial arts, completely different. I had to learn from the beginning again. But I've done many stunts over trees, jumping into moving vehicles on a recent film I'm doing right now. And one where I got smashed into a wall by a guy called Rosso Hennessy on a film called Tribal, which took about 25 takes. And look at the back plate on that one. But yeah, it was. It's good to actually do some stunts, and I'm proud to do it myself and put myself through all the injuries and stuff. Yeah, you do get hurt, but yeah, there's many stunts I would love to do in the past. I've got dreams of doing, but again, it's stretch, learn, go through the routine, take the right preparation for it, and if you're not going to stunt double as well, then you're doing your own stunts, obviously. Like there's one famous star now who I'm very proud of, and I followed for many years, who does his own stunts. But yeah, that's the way I look at it. Preparation, learn the routine, go to like a gymnastics place or a stunt team and learn it there, and then go through it on set.
Yeah, you mentioned before about the back plates and the just the 25 takes and stuff like that. How many injuries have you actually had? If you,
I've had lower back injury. I've had bruises on my knees and elbows. Again, when I did that one, I didn't have knee pads, I didn't have elbow pads. I just used a back plate. I just wanted to get it done. I wasn't too bothered about getting hurt. As long as I can still do the routine. You can only take so much punishment and do so many takes until your body won't take it. But if you can overcome that and push it to the limits, then you probably can do anything.
Yeah, and you feel invincible, but in a good way, if anything. But yeah,
you pay for it in the end. You do pay for it in the end.
Yeah. When you're in the bath and you're aching all over, I'm sure you'll be thinking I'm invincible. You said as well about a stunt that you really kind of want to try out or want to do.
I will come to that in a bit. That comes up on some of your other questions, but I will come into that later on. I'll let Shane answer now.
Yeah, sure. Shane.
Yeah, so basically just to dwell on that question, I suppose, yeah, the most important thing is to warm up, like Phil just said, whatever you're rehearsing, especially sometimes you'll have a whole day of rehearsal before you even start filming anything, sometimes multiple days. So if you've got a big fight sequence between multiple people, if you're going to be doing a full 8 hours, 10 hours of rehearsals, you've got to warm up. It's just like any form of exercise, whether you're going to the gym, whether you're doing combat, whatever it is, you've got to stretch, you've got to warm up, have a bit of a jog, stretch your muscles, loosen up, and then start rehearsing. And exactly the same at the end of the day, make sure you cool down. And obviously rehearsals is the most important bit because you don't want anyone getting injured. Make sure you know the sequence inside and out because you don't want to accidentally clock somebody. Whether it's an combat, whether you've got a sword and a shield in your hand, whether you're using guns, whatever sort of props you've got, baseball bats, you don't want to end up hitting somebody. That's the most important thing. So that's where all the preparation comes in, because if you're tired, you're fatigued, or you haven't learned what you're doing, then you'll end up hurting. One of you'll hurt each other. So the rehearsals and the preparation are probably the most important bit, learning exactly what you're doing, take your time, start off slow. Doesn't matter about how fancy it looks on camera right now, it's just learning the sequence. Then once you both know exactly what you're doing, then you can start, if you want to speed it up a little bit and start getting it ready for the camera. But yeah, the important bit is to obviously, warm up and know exactly what you're both doing so you don't injure each other.
Yeah. Are there I'm not sure. Oh yeah, safety precautions. That's the next one. Yeah. So, what injuries have you had, if you don't mind me asking?
Just again, probably the most common ones: shoulders, knees. I did my knee a few months back, and since then I've had to be very careful. And that was just during training. Most of the time, it comes during training when you're like jumping and rolling over stuff and practicing stuff like that. All you got to do is land slightly funny. Your knee goes or your shoulder goes if you fall on the floor. You're meant to separate your weight so that you land properly, but occasionally, again, this is when it comes. We have to sometimes set a limit of how many takes are we going to do where this is safe, because once you've done more than 5 takes, really, you should sort of start saying to the director, like, that's enough, because, well, generally you'd say it to the stunt coordinator, who then will have a word with the director. It's like, look, it's getting to the point now where it's going to start getting injuries because you get tired, you get fatigued again, and that's when you're more likely to slip, do something wrong, land funny, and then you'll hurt yourself. So you've got to kind of set a limit of like, right, there's only so many times you can do a certain stunt depending on how dangerous it is or how more likely you are to get injured, basically. So the common ones are really the joints, really, lower back as well, shoulders. My knee was the most recent one, which still isn't properly right now, which is why I sort of stepped back a little bit on doing a lot of the rolly, jumpy sort of stuff, because you land slightly funny and that's it. You're knackered, and then you're 3 months out with no work really, because you're limited on what you can do then. Because even if you go into acting, you'll be limping on set. So it's like you got to be very careful what you do.
Yeah, that was probably my next question. If you are ruled out injured, do you lose money? Is there anything you can do to kind of quicken the recovery?
It's just like anything, any injury. It's just ice and heat. So keep getting in ice baths, keep getting heat packs on them. If it's any sort of injury like that, which is if it's generally a tendon, ligament, or something that you can't really do a lot about, it's just generally your body will heal it in its own way. The only real aid you've got is, like you get the straps for your ankle. If you've done your ankle, you get knee straps, you get elbow straps. So they help like with the swelling and reduce the blood to that area. They can be quite useful short term. And then again, like heat and ice can also help heal it a bit quicker. But apart from that, it really comes down to your own body and how quick you are to recover. There's not really a lot you can do about it. Once you've done it, it's kind of like, right, well, let's just get better as soon as I can. Take it easy. If you still want to train and keep fit, just be very careful what you do. So like knees a tricky one, because when I did my knee, it's like then you can't go for a run. You've got to be careful what you do. So you're limiting your cardiovascular because you're limiting things that you've got. Even swimming, funny enough, you're swimming and you're kicking and it hurts your knee. So you've got to be very careful then what you can do. You maybe can do some weights and just do some upper body. That's it really. Sorry, we just had another pop-up then, didn't we, about the meeting? That was a distraction. I lost where I was going.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. That was Zoom again telling me, they've extended the 40-minute limit. I was like, oh, thanks for disturbing the call.
Yeah. No, that's it really. I think heat, ice, elevation, your usual stuff for injuries, rest.
Yeah. I recently, actually, a couple of months ago, I play American football, and during training itself, I twisted my ankle, and I've been out for a couple of months after that, and it's just been hard. I mean, I've been going to training, but on the sidelines, and I've been going, I really want to join back in. And as a stuntman, when you get injured and you're like, oh, I really want to be part of this, production, is there any kind of, will they allow you back on set if not to kind of observe or still be a part of the production in some way?
I think it depends. Go on, sorry.
Yeah,
go on.
I think for me, it's it all depends on who you work for. So some people can be all right, some people can be funny. It depends on what injury you've had and stuff. Because if you got a serious injury and it's healed, you don't know it's going to happen again. and then quick it's sealed up. It might not be healed properly, but I know some people are very fussy to have that person back on because they don't want to get sued. It depends if you, especially getting paid as well, good money, and if you're like a main actor, a main stuntman, and you have a major accident, then the production is going to be screwed big time, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that. That's a really good answer as well. The third question is, can you describe a scenario you've been in where things were not working, and how did you overcome these problems? So you mentioned about the injuries. I'm more in for this answer. I'm looking for more in process. So just a scenario that a stunt gone wrong, or a stunt that didn't quite work out the way you wanted it. Are there any examples of that?
Not injury wise. I think I would probably say it's more like you said, what we were saying earlier before we started the call about like if something's not being shot properly. So again, sometimes if they're not that well experienced, the DOP on fight sequences and stuff, it could be like, right, why don't we perhaps, it's not, you can't always tell them what to do. It's kind of giving suggestions. So it could be the case of why don't we try like shooting it from here, and then we can go and fight over there and move there, and so that it looks realistic on camera. I think that's probably one of the biggest hurdles we'll come across, is because you're there to try and sell it and make it look as realistic so that the viewers, when they watch it, believe whether you're doubling for somebody like you said, or whether you're the actor doing the stunt, then it's it's got to be believable to the audience. So I think that's probably one of the biggest hurdles that you've come across, is just making sure that things are shot properly, depending on, like you say, what the film is, what the budget is, what they're doing. But I've never really had anything go drastically wrong from me, quite lucky. I've seen it happen though. I did Doctor Strange 2 at the start of this year, and I was on that for 2.5 months. And we were doing again fight sequences on there, and one of the girls got promoted to an actress because they wanted another part of this gang, basically. So they auditioned her, she got promoted anyway. They were going to then double her because they didn't want to risk her injury. She was like, no, I want to do this as well. I lifted her up on the wires, do some sort of like magic in the air, and whoever was doing the rigging on the day dropped her, basically. So she dropped from like, I don't know, 3 meters in the air pretty much. So I've seen things like that, even on films with big budgets, that have gone horribly wrong. So it's just, again, ensuring that the safety's in line, everyone double, triple checks your knots. This is why you have like a rigging team, because someone will tie the knot on, then you have someone that overlooks the knots and makes sure that they're all tied up properly, and make sure that your harness or whatever it is that you're doing on that particular stunt. And then again, you do it on a rehearsal to make sure everyone knows what they're doing. And sometimes in the heat of the moment, it can be like, oh, we like this scene, let's do that. And then it's not been properly rehearsed, and that's when things can go wrong.
Yeah. When it's, I can imagine on big productions such as that, you've got to kind of prepare. You've got to spend a lot of time in preparation before the actual event.
Not really, because why it works is why it works. That's probably my favorite out of everything. To me, I think it's quite simple. As long as your rigging's done properly and it's all put up properly, and like I said, your knots are done properly, there's not a lot that can go wrong. Whether people, it's difficult when you're working as a team if you've got two of you on the pull. If like one of you lets go before the other, and that's when like the imbalance can come across, and someone might spin and rotate more than what they should, and that's when you can get like accidents like that. But it's quite an easy one to safely prepare it in a short amount of time. If you know how to do wire works, you should be like, right, this is what we're doing. Have a couple of rehearsals. Yeah, you're happy with that? Good, let's go and take the shot. The more dangerous stuff, I'd say, is things like when you're getting hit by vehicles and stuff like that, or rolling stairs is always a dangerous one. When you're rolling down a set of stairs, because you can easily break your back or your neck. So there's things like that are the ones that can go horribly wrong. You need to really, and jumps, and of course high falls as well, making sure that because if you're familiar with high falls, if the higher you go, the further the jump bag needs to be away. So if it's a small jump, the bag would be like here. As you go higher, the bag now needs to be here. And as you go here, the bag needs to be here because of the projection of how you feel you jump. So it's when people don't like calculate this properly and they jump and they miss the bag. And, there's been horror stories over the last 30 years, probably more than that, of stunt guys jumping and missing the mat and splatting the dead. So that's when things can go horribly wrong. Calculating distance is wrong. And then even when you have like a crash mat, you should have boxes around the crash mat as like an extra soft landing in case you miss the mat. At least you're going to land on something rather than the concrete floor. Yeah. So there's loads of little precautions that you should have in place. And it's when people are rushing and panicking and things go horribly wrong. And of course, the most recent one, without me waffling on too long, is you've probably seen about the one from that they did over in Texas with the Americans, and he shot what was the actor's name?
Alec
Baldwin.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin,
like again, like how the hell can that happen? Like it's unheard of. That's an armourer's responsibility to check that the weapons. A, you shouldn't have live rounds on the film production anyway. B, the armourer should be checking what's in there before you pass it along. Is this a blank? Is it a live round? Is it empty? And then even when you pass it over, the actor should still look at the magazine. So it's a combination of what the hell's gone wrong. It's just been a total disastrous mess.
Perfect economy of getting things just going wrong on that. I mean, you can imagine as well. It's a big production. Surely, not just the armor, but a lot of people, it would have had to pass a lot of people's hands in order to not to go on physically, but.
No, because if you use that as an example, if you read the story, unless you were there, it's hard to say. The armourer didn't even pass him over the weapon. I think it was the first AD or second AD or somebody like that who gave him the weapon to say that's okay to use, and he's just gone okay. You should never receive a weapon anyway. An actor should know that. You don't receive a weapon. If an AD passes you the weapon, even if it's the director, mate, I'm not touching that weapon. You pass it me from the armourer. That's their job. The armourer is the one that safely checks what's in that round. What's in there. So where was the armourer? If they were doing a take, where the hell have they gone? What they done? Wandered off to the toilet or what? I don't know where the armourer was. There's so many things that were wrong with it. It's ridiculous. It's like, what the hell's going on?
It's put him in a different in a difficult purpose, a difficult scene there, isn't it? We don't know what's going to happen with that. It's still an investigation and stuff like that. A lot of people now saying, like Dwayne Johnson referred to now, he's saying, no one, we're going to use rubber guns. That's what he said. I mean, I've used gas-powered guns, I've used rubber guns and stuff like that, especially on something I've just done. But it's a difficult one to deal with. When something goes wrong like that, it's an horrible situation, and somebody's got to pay the price on the day for it. Going back to earlier, exactly saying what Shane said with the wire work. I mean, we did a film, him as in Aberystwyth, and there was a guy there rigging it. I mean, he did a wire work course. I think he did about 2 years. He's been doing it, and he came on his own on set, and he was on the stage and he set this rig up. I mean, it did look good, but the manpower wasn't enough to pull the person because just the guy on the wire, he says, "I'll do it." I said, "Are you sure?" I says, "Okay." And he couldn't pull it off. Even when he got pulled back, he didn't get pulled back out enough. The guy jumped down from a decent height to pull the wire, and he didn't have enough manpower to fling him across the room. Because for that scene, I can tell you about the scene actually. One of my guys, he comes in with this magical power, like a big force field. It throws us backwards. There's three of us: me, this other guy, and my previous friend who I lost. He was on the scene, and the guy on the wire, he couldn't pull it off. What I had to do, I had to land on boxes. My mate, he had land on boxes and the mattress as well, a mattress protector. I didn't have that. I just used the boxes. I had to jump off a small trampoline for about a 4-foot gap and to spin and jump backwards and land through the boxes onto the concrete. Oh, it was painful, but it was fun to do. But yeah. If you're really well trained in wire work and and the guy's really, really good at what he does, and he's got a good team behind him, and you learned how to do wire work as well, then it's a good thing to do. But if you're not, it goes wrong, then there's been many times where I've done stuff for a film called in Rihanna, where I've done the fight scenes, and it's still up and going now, that one. And I've gone to the camera, I've looked at it, and I thought, that's not quite right. I can change that, and I worked it way differently because I'm organising the fight for this one. But yeah, there's different things I can put my input into and stuff like that, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Again, that's just to dwell on what Phil just said. That's when it comes down to the rigger or whoever the coordinator is. They should know when you're booking a job and someone calls you and says, right, can you come and rig this, or can you come and do that? Okay, you should be asking questions like, okay, how heavy is the guy that I'm pulling? How far do you want him to go? Because depending on that, like you said, depends on the manpower. As an example, if I was pulling Phil now, so I'm at the other end pulling the rope and he's going to go flying back, the most I'll take him is 3 meters if you're lucky, probably 2 meters.
Yeah.
So you should know that how strong your weight is against pulling someone else's weight. And if it's a big person you're pulling, 100% you need 2 blokes jumping on the wire and pulling it. And then obviously if it's like a small woman that's being pulled, you might be like, okay, that's fine. But then if they said they wanted to go flying back 10 meters, you still might think, all right, well, I need another person pulling it because it's still not enough to send somebody flying 10 meters back.
Yeah.
But if it's just a 3 meters and it's say someone who's only 10 stone in weight, and they're 5'8" or whatever, all right, fair enough, I can do that on my own, pull that back. But if they all of a sudden say, right, this guy's 17 stone, he's 6'5", and we want him to fly 5 meters across the room, I know straight away I'm wasting my time. I can't pull him back that far. So it's pointless to me just saying, yeah, I can do it. You say, yeah, I can do it, but I need another rig assistant coming with me. So you're paying his wages as well. So that's where you need to coordinate and plan that before you even book the shop. It's no good turning up being like, yeah, I can do it just because you want to secure the job, because it's not going to be safe. Because like you said, if you don't have the maps properly, the stunt's going to look shit anyway, because you're not going to be landing where you want that stunt to go.
Yeah. It's all about preparation and communication. I've told that.
Also,
Right. The next question is, can you describe a scenario you've been in where things were working and your proudest moment from it?
Go on then, Phil. I'll let you start that.
Well, I will say Creaking. Well, like I said, there's many films I've worked on. But Creek Encounters is probably going to be the most exciting one I'm working on at the minute. Apart from the medieval I'm doing later in the new year. But Creek Encounters is where I had to disguise myself as a different character, because I get seen a lot more as myself in the film. But I had to dive around, I had to run around this building to dive into a moving vehicle. And all I had on me was covered in black. I had these massive gas mask goggles on and everything I could hardly see. And I dived head first going into a slow moving vehicle. I think that was an exciting thing to do. And when we stopped and we cut camera, and I said to the director, let's do another one. Let's do one where I'm jumping off a roof of the building onto the car roof and stuff like that. Something I've just got crazy ideas to do, and
you were
so many things.
At that stage, you were confident.
You want to, yeah, and it was only a low building as well. But I would try anything once. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. But it's one of them. You want to put yourself through it. Then it's up to you. And me, I like to live things on the. I put my life on the edge in a way. But yeah, it is a good thing to do. I mean, one I did in the last Indian film I did, a guy called Danush, big Indian star. He was on wires. He had to jump over me with his flying sidekick. He was on the wire. He had to take out 3 other guys at the same time. He took me out, and then kicking like a glass bottle in someone's face and stuff. Again, that was an amazing stunt to do. But again, it's working with the right people, working with the right team. I've got a scene coming up, supposed to be in January. Hopefully we can do it down in Mansfield, where I've got this big battle. I'm being thrown through sugar glass windows and stuff like that. And then organising the fight routines as well. So there's some big stuff happening for that one. And I've got a great person on that team. I've just pulled in now, who I brought in and I put forward to a guy for this battle one we did. She's an amazing person. Shane knows her, Red. She's come on board for me, and she's going to do something amazing. I'm proud to actually fight a female on the film. It's an amazing thing to do. But yeah.
I was going to say. Yeah, go on, Shane.
No, I was just making a joke. I said he's getting some revenge. He wants to fight a female now.
Oh yeah. I was going to say, female stunt women and stunt people have really kind of there's becoming more and more of them, and I'm quite proud of that fact, and it's great to kind of see a level battleground and more of a level background between the two. There's TV shows like was it Black Widow and stuff like that, where the stunt teams are just very kind of varied, and it's good to see. Shane, what about you? What about a scenario that you're really proud of, like, that just was really good?
I suppose I've got a lot that I want to still do to fulfill, I suppose, to say that need. Probably the most recent one, which I probably did in the summer this year, was for a new TV series called Sunray. That's again about an ex-bunch of soldiers. That'd be quite a good little nice shot once that comes out. That was scheduled for January. That'll probably be June now next year when it comes out. And I fight the main guy in that, and then end up with a nail gun to my head. So that'll be a nice sort of like fun fight sequence as such. Like Phil was just saying, I've not had the privilege of having the sugar glass one yet. That's always something that I think everybody aims to try and do at some point, getting thrown through a glass window, or that I've not really had that one, so I can't really say that. Mine's just been mainly combat, whether it's armed or unarmed. But I still haven't had a really good sword sequence yet either. I've just done it more in training. Everything's been pretty much unarmed that I've done. So if you're saying it's the proudest moment, I think I've still got that yet to come, I would say. Because swords and shields is probably my biggest thing that I enjoy. So I'm waiting for a nice big role, like you say, like for Vikings. I'm hoping Vikings Valhalla 2, if they do it. I don't know. I know Vikings Valhalla comes out next year, but whether they bring out season 2 or not, it's meant to be a one-off. We will see if they do it or not. I don't know. But one of the guys who I train with now in the Midlands, he's got the stunt crew coming from Vikings series to train with us in Feb. We're just waiting for the dates. So again, these are the sort of people you need to get in there with and try and learn how they did it on a big TV series like that, and then of course try and get in there if they do future similar types of roles, whether it's Vikings or whether it's just another medieval film or knights or whatever it is. You're kind of in that network then, and they know your skill set and what you can do. And then I think that would be my biggest thing, even though it's probably the most uncomfortable and hard work, because it's quite tiring, swinging swords around all day. Especially if you're wearing armor and stuff like that. It's actually hard work, but I think, I'd be the most proud of that, and it would probably look the most cool in post-production.
It really puts it into perspective, the amount of training. I mean, Henry Cavill, for example, in The Witcher, I've seen interviews of the swords expert for that, and he said that Henry Cavill's work ethic is just phenomenal. He can just do a few days of sword training, sword choreography, and he just takes it up, and he just, what's the next one? But he did say that, eventually they did have to, calm him down and say, this is how it's going to look, this is how it's going to be, But and
that's the thing, when you're a principal actor like that, when you're the main actor, they will pay for you to learn certain stuff. So that's why, again, this whole thing with the stunt register, this is the whole thing about, I don't think, if they're going to double you, if you want to always be a double and not been seen on screen, then that's fine. But if you want to be the main guy, then some of these skills, you don't necessarily have to have them anyway, because if you're the right man for the job, you look good, they know you can perform, then they will teach you whatever they need to teach you. Like, I know the guys in the Viking series, they had 3 months of training before they filmed anything to learn them how to fight like a Viking with a sword and an axe and stuff like that. So they had 3 months of prep, all paid for, you know, which some people paid for that training externally. But if you're the right man for the role, you look right and you sound like what they want, then they will pay for you to learn it anyway.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line between learning in this industry what you want to pay for on your training, as opposed to, you know, without going too far, when, yeah, they will teach you anyway if it's,
Yeah.
you know, if they want to use you. If it's anything over dangerous, then you have to be a stunt guy anyway. So if you're trying to act and stunt, it's trying to find that fine line again of what they will allow you to do. So if you're throwing you through glass or you're doing a big fall, it doesn't matter whether you can do it or not. If you're the lead actor, they're not going to let you do it, because if you do it yourself, the production stops for months and they will lose money. So they'll never let you do it anyway. It's mainly the fighting stuff is what they'll let you do. So whether it's unarmed or armed with, like I said, swords, that's the stuff that they will generally let you do it as an actor. And they'll just train, even if you've got an actor who's never done it before, they'll pay for them to be trained if they think you look the right part.
Yeah, certainly.
Obviously, if you've got the skill before you even audition for the job, then it helps. That's what this industry is all about. The more skills you've got before you get to all the audition stage, is going to help them with the selection, because they know, A, you can pick up what they want you to do. You've done a little bit of it before. You look the part, you act the part, then you're more likely to get the part. Whereas if someone just comes in and looks the part, but they've never held a sword in their hand, then you might be a bit more advantageous of getting it.
Yeah, certainly. What attributes do you look for in a director in order for them to work with the stunt team efficiently?
For me, again, if obviously the director knows what he's looking for, and he knows what to fill with the stunt team, whether it's if it's a background team, it's a martial arts fight. I know one director. He's a martial artist, and he's a producer as well, and he knows what he's looking for with the team, with the stunt guys, with the martial artists and stuff. It's always good to work with them kind of people who knows what they're looking for. And you can put your own input on both things as well, vice versa. But yeah, for me, that's what I look for in that kind of direction.
Yeah, who knows the vision inside and out. And,
They need to.
Yeah. Shane,
and again, that comes down to the safety element of it. You know, you need a director that knows what they're doing, so that they know how safe something is for a particular amount of takes. Again, when you go back to that, like Phil was saying, 20 takes, you know, it's quite dangerous doing that amount of takes, regardless of what the stunt is. If it's just a fist fight, that just comes down to more physical exhaustion than anything. It's just like doing martial art training in the gym. You just get physically tired. You might get a few bruises here and there if you clock each other's arms when you're blocking or whatever it is. But, you know, they're the sort of things you could probably do 20 times. But again, if you're getting hit by a car, if you're falling over, things like break falls, you've got to be careful, because once you've done that so many times, you start getting tired, you're more likely to land funny, land on your wrist, and you'll break your wrist, land on your back, you crack your spine. So the director needs to know as well, like, really, the more knowledge they've got on the stunt side of it, it's a bit like, well, look, you know, I think it's looking for that direction of advice, really, as well. Like I said before about you'd maybe put it forward. The stunt coordinator knows as well what's safe and what's not. They need to put that forward to the director. As long as the director takes that advice, that's ultimately what they pay the coordinator for, is for their advice. So he should say, like, look, my guy's only doing that stunt 5 times, because after that, it's going to start getting dangerous. He's going to start hurting himself. The director needs to go, okay, that's cool. Right, we'll do this angle, that angle, done. And then you're happy with it. You get the angles he wants, and you move on to the next scene, whether you've got it or not. It's like, look, if he does it again, he might hurt himself, because you start getting tired. That's when things go wrong. Even then, you know, even when I said about the unarmed, again, even then, you can still get tired and end up whacking each other. Especially when you've got weapons in your hands, whether it's a bow staff, nunchucks, a sword. You start getting tired. You know how far to keep your distance, but if you've done that for a few hours, you can easily get tired and get too close, and boom, and you whack someone around your hand, and you hit them with a pole, a stick, nunchuck, baseball bat, whatever it is you've got. Even if it's a rubber prop, you know, it can still bloody hurt. So it's trying to get that fine line of like, right, you've done that for long enough, let's have a break now. Let's get a water break, have some food or whatever it is. I think that's, you're looking for a director that knows the industry as well. That's not like go on, crack on for the next 8 hours, because it's not going to happen.
A director that does the research and maintains that good level of relationship with the stunt team.
Yeah, and takes advice off the coordinator, because like I said, that's ultimately what the coordinator is paid for.
Yeah.
That's why they're paid good wages. That's why they're paid over like 800 to a grand or even 1,500 a day. It's because that's what you're paying the coordinator for, is the knowledge. Make sure it's all done safely, and the guys or girls, whoever's doing the stunt, doesn't get injured. That's ultimately what it is about.
Yeah, making a safe working environment. Yeah. Did we get? Yeah, we got Philip's answer.
Because obviously, if you injure yourself, you're out of the game, and that's the important bit. You know, it's there's nothing more important than that. You know, when you're doing any kind of stunt, you don't want to injure yourself because you're knackered.
Exactly, and you want other people to kind of, you want the backing, you want other people to be looking after each other on set. So you need to have your backup, and if you don't feel like you've got that, you're not exactly gonna be at your most professional, shall we say?
That's true.
Okay, what's the best thing about being a stuntman?
I'll keep this nice and short and sweet for me. If you want to be a stuntman, learn how to be a stuntman. Go to courses to do stunts. The stuntman, it's a good paying job. You can do many things, many dangerous stunts. If you learn it, probably takes time. It takes months, it takes years to be a proper professional stuntman, to work on mega movies. For me, I like doing the odd stunts in films and stuff, little stunts to biggish ones I can do, but not overdoing it. For me, it's just the acting wise. I love doing the acting and the fights and stuff. The fights I'll do on myself, but for me, I would not be a professional. I don't want to be a professional stuntman. Acting is just my thing, really.
Right. So, has it always been acting with you, or are you interested in other aspects of filmmaking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a writer. I'm not good at writing, but I know what I look for. If you look back on the camera, if a fight scene is not quite right, if something needs tweaking, and I think, yeah, we could change that routine. We could put that guy over there somewhere, and which I've got a lot of input on a new film I'm hoping to do in May, which I'm proud to have Shane on. As a medieval fighter, which is going to be pretty cool, where he tries to beat the hell out of me. But yeah, it's an interesting one.
Is he going to be using a sword? Just to go back to the previous.
He has got a sword.
There you go. There's your proudest moment then.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't know it to cut a long story short, when my previous film partner died, I didn't know who to put on it, and then I thought, who do I know who's got background experience in fighting, medieval sword and stuff? Because I'm only putting fighters on who's got martial arts trained and stuff like that. It's down to the fight choreographer who's picking the fighters and myself. Because I want a good team on it, and I want to make the director proud of his film. It's his first feature film. He's done many shorts, but he wants to make it into a franchise and stuff like that.
Wow.
He's putting some good money in it. But for me to fight loads of people in a 2-day fight scene, and then to make something amazing on that, it's going to be good, and I need the right people. The recent ones we just landed Bollywood one to work with these guys. I'm proud to bring them in and stuff like that. I just hope we can get it done in May or June or whatever it's going to be. It was supposed to be done last year, and then the cameraman he dropped out, so we had to look into a new camera guy. So, but yeah, for me, it's definitely the acting and fights and stuff like that, and the odd stunts now and again.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a really good answer. Thanks for that. Shane?
So the question was what? What's the most Fun stunt, was it?
What's the best thing about being a stuntman?
I think the fact that you probably get to relive a bit of like your childhood, you know, as a kid, you mess around, don't you? And I think you kind of are just like a big boy messing around. Like Phil said, I think, you know, a lot of stunt guys are actors as well. There are a few that do just stunts and stunts only, and that's what they want to do, and they'll happily do the most dangerous stuff there is available. Whereas I'm very similar to like Phil. I have a boundary of like, right, that's too risky. I'm not doing it because it's too risky of injury, or it's like, right, you know, because acting is your bread and butter. Stunts are kind of like the thing you do on top of it. So I would say, yeah, the fun part about it is reliving like childhood. You know, whether you're kicking, punching somebody, whether you're attacking them with a weapon, you know, whether it's baseball bat, a knife, whatever it is, it's kind of just it's a bit like being a kid, really. You know, just messing around. You're not really messing with your mates in the playground. It's kind of a bit like that. Obviously, you've still got to be serious and professional and still be safe and remember your distancing and timing and stuff like that. But it's still quite good fun. You know, I'd say probably the fun
still
side.
A thrill that harkens back to your childhood, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've never done it yet either, but again, like setting yourself on fire and things like that. I've done a bit of training, but I've never done it on a film yet. So again, it's like that, you know, it's whether you're setting yourself on fire, whether you're getting run over by a car, it's quite like, you know, again, it brings back that sort of like memory as a kid when you're always trying to be, oh, I'm braver than my mate, you know, my mate just jumped off the garage, you watch me jump off the roof then, you know, and it's a bit like, you know, when you're trying to like prove yourself, like, oh, I'll do better than you. And it's kind of a bit like, yeah, it brings that nice sort of like kiddish, childish sort of memories into it. I think that kind of makes it fun, which is important because you've got to have fun in this industry because sometimes it is quite serious. So when it's not so serious, you need to have those sort of like fun moments to keep you mentally stable within the industry.
Yeah, I agree. It is important to maintain that level of fun, but professionalism. It's a careful balance. Yeah. What's the worst thing about being a stuntman?
100% injury. That's it. There's no other answers. I don't think it's always injury.
Definitely. That's all you can say about that, really.
Yeah. End of question. That's a simple one.
I was going to say, you know, it's going to be a quick answer, this, I think, but yes. So, same from you and Phil.
Again, it's injuries again. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do so many amazing stunts, and there's no guarantee you're gonna pull it off easily. There's many famous stunt people, which I can put on to the next question, who does his own stunts, and I think he did a couple of films where he had a stunt double in, but for all the other films he's done for his career, he's done it all himself. But he's put his life online. It's the same with Bruce Willis when he did the Diaz scene. He nearly killed himself doing that bit. Doing the scene on that when they put the fire hose around him.
Oh yeah,
he did that stunt. He nearly killed himself doing that. It's the same for, I think Daniel Craig did a couple of stunts in the last Bond film on his own, and I know Tom Cruise as well. But
yeah,
I've seen some of the stuff on that Bond, and like you said, there's even scenes where he's walking across like a ridge of loads of like high up houses. He actually is walking across the ridge. So, like I said, once little, if it's a big gust of wind, a little bit of a step wrong, you've gone off and you're going to hit that concrete. So, yeah, it is risky sometimes.
Yeah.
So now I want to come across, and it's something what I will never want to experience. Really.
There's thrills to being a stuntman, but there's insanity as well, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. In your opinion, who is the best stunt person / martial artist in the industry, and why?
Well, for me, I mean, I've got quite a few friends who's martial artists and does stunts, but for me, world famous, I will say Jackie Chan. With being a famous martial artist and does his own stunts. I always look up to him for what he does, and I think many people do. But yeah, for me, he's one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Phil. I think Jackie Chan is the best stunt person that ever has.
Yeah, climbing walls and jumping through some stupid scenes and stuff he does. It's really crazy.
I was watching First Strike the other night, and I was watching, the ladder scene where he swings the ladder.
I think for me, one of my favorite films of Jackie Chan was Meals on Wheels back in the day, and like a twin brother in the film, and he's on these roller skates or skateboard, whatever it was, and he's doing some crazy flips on stuff, and holding food and drinks, and still doing flips and stuff. But yeah, it's again, that's all down to camera angle and camera tricks and stuff. But stunt wise, I admire for that.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. Shane, how about you?
I wouldn't say I had a favourite, so I'd say what you guys have just said. I said he's probably one of the best, isn't he? I think favourite martial artist would still have to be the classic, and that's Bruce Lee. You know, you can't beat the original. I think that's where all the modern day MMA, everything's been learned from, even though he didn't do it as many films as he should have because he passed away far too early. But, you know, even the films he did back then was still very good. And the stunt and fight sequences are very good. And of course, martial arts, you can't beat the guy for his martial arts skills. So if I had to pick, I'd probably say that. I don't really have a favourite off the top of my head, but I'd say, yeah, it's got to be somebody like Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, that's style, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree there. The two top-most martial artists. What safety precautions are in place to ensure a stunt goes right?
Again, that's down to the right equipment. It's same with if you're doing wire work, having the right gear, the right team, the correct, how it's put together properly, safety gear, harness, make sure everything falls into place. Again, it's down to the right team, the fight choreographer you're working with, to make sure things go safely. And
rehearsals, everything, isn't it? Rehearsals,
rehearse everything. Yeah.
If there's anything in fire, well, you need a fire brigade there ready on set. You know, if it's anything that's really dangerous, you need an ambulance in case something goes wrong. So it's all the precautions as well, that if it does go wrong, because it does happen sometimes, you've got the right medical services there to help ASAP. Not like, oh, we need to drive him to the hospital. It's, well, you need it there. You can't, so if you're doing a really dangerous thing, you need people there that can do, you know, emergency services, whether it's fire, you know, bringing somebody back to life if they pass out or whatever the hell the stunt is, then you need those people there, really. And of course, rehearsals and preparation are then the main things, like Phil was just saying. It's kind of everything really under one roof.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm actually in the middle of making kind of an American football short film. Would you kind of suggest anything, because it's a contact sport, but would you suggest any kind of precautions? Should I hire out kind of I mean, I've already got a first aider on set, but someone in the medical background to come on set?
I would, if you got money to put into stuff as well. Yeah, it's always good to have a medical background, first aider there, but have an ambulance crew stand by. You can hire them out. We did it for Thai boxing events and stuff like that. Ambulance crew there ready, because you never know what could happen. And Sunday, who knows what they're doing with the American team, with American football. You might be professional what you're doing, but and again, you need to break it down and pretend and break it all down and learn again how to do the football scenes on screen as well, without getting injured too much. But yeah, I will.
Yeah, so as an example, you do like the scene where, you know, if he's running up to somebody to tackle, I call it rugby, but yeah, if you're running up to tackle somebody, it'd be the same thing. You'd do the take of him, he charges, cut, and then the next scene, he's grabbed the guy, and then and he whacks him down. So like you tie him obviously together, so it looks like it's been one big massive run, bang, and he's done the full motion. But obviously he's running full pace. Then he's grabbed him and he's lowering him slowly, but you speed it up in post production, so it looks like he's gone and he's proper smashed him down. But you put him down reasonably gentle, not ridiculous, but you'd find a middle ground so it's realistic enough, but not slamming him.
Not obvious. Yeah.
So again, that's come on to camera angles as well, doesn't it? As well.
Yeah. Luckily, I've got a fairly good DP this time around. Thanks for that. That's some really good advice for me going ahead in February, because I was kind of wondering about that as well. What makes a great fight scene?
Realistic. I think I think we've dwelled a bit on that. Realism is the most important thing. If it doesn't look realistic, then it's crap, no matter who's involved and where it is, whether you're at the top of a fancy building or wherever it is. If you haven't got the right team, then the fight will look crap. You need everything. You need the angles. You need the right sequence. You need the right everything. It's got to be a combination of everything. The right mooding, the lighting, the right environment, the right setting.
We did touch upon
it's a real fight, not staged.
Yeah, I agree with that one. 100%.
Because it's different, stage combat is different to screen combat. So stage combat, everything's very big and you do hit each other, but very lightly because there's obviously a live audience watching it. So if you're doing a theatre production, there's a live audience you are hitting, but it's all like very cheesy, over the top stuff that's like letting people know that it's coming to a degree. Whereas screen combat, you're still letting your opponent know that the punch or kick or whatever it is that's coming, but you do it so that, again, you're just tricking the camera angle to make it look like you've hit them, but you haven't. So there's more realism. Again, it's personal choice, but I think it looks a lot better on screen than stage. But it's just a different type of fight, really.
Yeah, it's a very it's a layered mentality to look at, really, isn't it? Because you're doing so many things at once. You want it to look cool, but at the same time, you don't want to hurt the person you're fighting. But at the same time, you do want it to kind of look bad, if anything, look good for the camera. I mean, but yeah, it's a lot. What about you, Phil?
Again, it's all about exactly the same what Shane said. You gotta learn how to fight. You gotta learn with the right team and stuff. And again, it's preparation, really. Finding the right people to work with, and I can't really pick on that one. Shane's answered all them boxes there.
Same answer then. That's
definitely.
I think Shane's covered it quite well. Today, what is the stunt or fight scene you're most proud of?
Did that?
Yeah. I think
we've done that one. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll strike that question because we covered it in the previous one. Are there any other stunt performers / martial artists you'd suggest for interview?
There's so many people you can choose, from mega famous to independent ones and stuff like that. I mean, we did podcasts recently in the past months, past years, with Thai boxing, and we've had people like Matt Strange there. We've had different Paddy McGuinness there. We've had many people there. We've had loads of martial artists in talking about stuff, and there's so many people you can interview and to get some good ideas from as well.
How would you go about getting their attention, but kind of contacting them?
I think if you work with the person, you're close to the person. I'm close to a few. If they're up for an interview, or depending on what the interview's for, if it's for a magazine or anything like that, then I'm sure they will be interested in doing it. Some people might charge, some people won't. I don't know. It's down to them end of the day, but it's just making that contact. Again, it's a networking thing again, making the right contacts and getting to know that person, and they're up for interviewing, then why not? Get involved.
I suppose a good one that I would say is I don't know whether you're releasing like a bit of a video after, or if you could do like a bit of a write-up, but if you're doing like, say, a write-up about this interview, then where is that going? Is that going on some sort of like university webpage, or where will that be going?
It's all part of my degree, so it'll just be going to the assessors. It's not going into university archives or anything like that, or unless I can contact.
If it could, that would be useful, because that helps for people getting on Wikipedia. As an example, if you want to be a stunt guy or an actor listed on Wikipedia, they want 14 news articles about yourself. It doesn't really matter where they come from, whether it's the Sun, the Daily Mail, the Express, the university blog. As long as someone's done a write-up about you as a performer, then that's ultimately what they're looking for. So I think if you could provide something like that, you'd be more interested to get people to say, I'll give you an hour of my time for free. Because if you say, look, we're going to do a write-up about you, it's going to be on interview.com/podcast, or, whatever website. If you've got a particular site, then it'd be like, look at the recent interviews we've done. You can see a list of them. Then you get more interested people to come on board. Then if you just say, oh, it's for me and for me only, then it's like, well, what am I gaining for it? It's got to be a two-way system.
Exactly.
If it's all about you benefiting, then what am I going to give you my time for? It's pointless. Unless you're paying me, then it's pointless. That's how most people would look at it.
Yeah.
I've done it because, like I said, Phil looks after me and I'll look after Phil. Phil asked me, so I'm like, okay, I'll give you a bit of my time. That's no problem. But if you just ask me out of the blue, and the first question would be, well, what am I getting from it?
Yeah.
If there's nothing, if it's not going to benefit me in any way, then why should I give you my time? It's got to be, like I said, it's got to be a write-up about you, so that whether it's a press release, I'm not saying it has to be reaching 1 million people, but it's got to be some sort of release.
Some kind of
if you're
quid
paid
pro quo.
financially, then that's brilliant as well. Whichever version it is, you need something.
Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it, really. Yeah.
Because that's how most people will look at it. Most people won't just go, "What, you want to talk to me? Okay, yeah, I'll do that." Most people won't do that.
Yeah. I've found that. I've emailed several stunt performers, and the overall thing is that they're very friendly. I mean, like everyone is in the industry, really. They're very professional, very friendly in reply, but they haven't really got the time or day for it. There's got to be something in it for them that I've kind of overlooked at the minute. But that advice actually has helped. I'll probably approach a few more, but try and get it into university archives and so that it'll help.
Or even if you can't get it into the university archives, then collaborate with someone that does some sort of podcast or some sort of interview website. And you list it on there. Like, I'll give you an example. There was one. Let me go on my Facebook, because I put it on there a few months back. It's one I did for. Let me just get you the name. And this was a guy that reached out to me via LinkedIn. And he was saying, look, I'm looking at interviewing actors. He's some sort of American journalist. Let me just get you their website. There was just something called interviewpodcast.com or something like that. Let me just see if I can find the link. It'll be on here from a couple of months ago. But if you can do something like that, or even if you haven't got your own website and your own podcast, then you could still collaborate with these people to try and say, look, I'm writing this. Would you be interested just to put it on there? You can have the free content and free material, but just say that it was, you were the interviewer or you were the writer or whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah. I can definitely put it on. I've got a
That's
website.
another option.
Sorry?
Yeah, I was just saying that's another option.
Yeah.
Because straight away now, like when I Google my name, that comes up on page 2 of Google, that interview. So it's just, again, it's exposure as a person. That's what a lot of actors and stunt guys are looking for, is what exposure is there. Yeah, this is the website, interviewsandmore.com.
Yeah, that could work.
So as an example, that goes straight on there. It's got the write-up, it's got your picture, and it lists like all the questions. And that was the same sort of thing. All that guy did was like we're doing now. And he listed it, and then he wrote like some of the questions, my response to the questions. He wrote it again, then he put something else and a bit of a bit thing in between to break it up. Then he sticks in a little picture. Then again, another question about what we've asked about and what my thoughts on it were. And then he even put like all the links at the bottom. So he puts your website, your IMDb page, your Spotlight, your Mandy, whatever else, he sticks it all on there so that it's accessible to the public. But then, like I said, that also then comes up on Google, so it benefits everybody.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty helpful. That's very good. I think we covered the next one as well. What's a stunt you're eager to perform but haven't yet, and what preparation would you need to do for that stunt? So Shane, I know you wanted to do a sword fight already, but are there any aspects of that sword fight that you want to try out? Or
like I said, I think the glass would be a good one as well.
Yeah.
I'd love to do like a famous one is the Terminator scene. Terminator when he meets him and he's and is it start of Terminator 2, and he's got the shotgun and he's walking around the mall, and then all of a sudden the T-100, the T-1000 liquid guy comes and he like kicks him or something, and he goes flying out the window, and he's just there lying like that, and then he just sort of like gets up and he's like, and then the robot stands up again, and it's like, that would be a cool sort of thing to do, when he smashes straight through the window and then gets up as like a machine.
Yeah, that's good.
I'd love to do something like that. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that does look cool, I admit. Yeah, it looks cool.
Whether you're a superhero, whether I'm a machine like that, superhero, or because I think sometimes doing stunts like that, if you're meant to be just a normal guy, to me it can come across as very unrealistic because you'd be cut to shit, your back would probably be broken. So it just comes across as very unrealistic. It needs to be either superhero, a machine, some sort of like alien monster or whatever you are, something with superpowers basically. So that then when you get up, it's just like either goes mad. Even if you're a zombie, it'd probably be quite good fun and get up and then you start going psycho, a demon, a monster, Witcher, anything with some sort of extra powers, whatever you are, straight through the glass and get back up. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Have you done stunt coordination before, Shane?
Only on small stuff like short films, no big budget stuff, no. Because again, the guys on the big budgets, they're all on the register and they won't hire anyone without it.
Right. Is it something that you're interested in doing again on bigger features or?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, if the right job's there and if it's for the right production and depending on what it's for, then yeah, it's definitely something I'd like to do. Yeah, because like I said, the insurance is easy enough to get. The biggest concern is always insurance, but it's easy enough to get First Act insurance, and you can get it in 24 hours for tomorrow if I still need to. So that's easy enough to do. Like I said, I kind of stopped pursuing anything like that because at the end of the day, like I said, 9 times out of 10, big budget films will only hire people on the register. More independent films and stuff like that will certainly, if you've got the knowledge and experience, you know what you're doing, they will hire you. And again, especially things like with the military, I've had it where I turned up on a job started last year, and they pretty much at the end of the day put me as a military advisor because the guy they hired as a military advisor was fucking useless. He wasn't instructing the guys how to march properly. So it was like I was showing the guys, like, right, this is how you march. And they weren't listening to the other guy. And I was like, right, you've got to stop doing this. And then I was trying to tell them, like, look, guys, if you don't get this right, you do realize the scene is not making the final cut. So the amount of days you're here is wasted because they will just cut you from the series. So sometimes you just need that little bit of like, look, guys, get this right, show them how to do it right, give them a bit of motivation at the same time. Yeah. It's definitely something I'd like to do if the right job was there. Yeah.
I can tell you're quite you do good at the motivational speaking kind of.
That's another story. That's how I got into acting.
Oh,
as a motivational speaker before becoming an actor, so that's how I got in.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's great. Philip, what about you?
For me, I mean, it will take a long time to learn. I would love to jump off a building, crash through a house or a wall, some crazy stuff like that. I don't know. I've something amazing done to me.
So anything to do with you getting thrown?
Yeah, yeah. To get thrown or fall or blown up or something. Yeah, it will be something cool to do, and it's always been a dream to do something like that. But whether it happens or not, it's another story.
Yeah. Tell you what, I've just finished a zombie feature, and one of the stunts that I wanted to do, and I researched a bit of it, was being lit on fire. You know, I just fell in love with the concept because it was it was a remake of Night of the Living Dead. So we were at the house, and the last scene is in the kitchen, and it just felt really kind of natural to have some sort of fire break out there, and a zombie just catching fire. So I was researching that for a bit, but at the end of the day, it was kind of the budget couldn't allow it, and time constraints and that. But it is something that I really want to do at some point.
Sure.
And what martial arts training have you completed, and how long did it take? I think
we've covered that one really.
Yeah. Maybe not just for the register. I think for general, how what martial arts training have you undergone, and how long did it take you?
I mean, for me, I started when I was 17. Next May, it's always at Doncaster Dome for some reason. Every time, it'll be May next year. It'll be my 28th year in different martial arts. So I learned traditional karate, I got to a black in that. Japanese style. I've done freestyle martial arts, mixed them up with different styles, weaponry. I'm doing a style now with Mark Strange, who's grading me in the new year for Chinese kickboxing. I'm an assistant instructor in Muay Thai. Yeah, I'm also learning Tang Soo Do as well from in Peterborough, where I want to compete for one last time. I've done fights before in the past, but I think for me, from learning martial arts and helping in martial arts schools, I want to pass on my knowledge and stuff like that. And that's what got me with the films as well, going into the Hall of Fame and getting awards for that. And that put me into they put me into one of the first movies I did. It was like a stunt, the death scene, and I thought, okay, I'll do it. And it was just a simple net break, fall into concrete, something like that.
Yeah. And
then it grew, and I was 18 movies later. I'm doing more things, but yeah, it's an amazing industry to do, and martial arts does help in a big way.
Yeah, I can see how it does help, and you know how many years it takes to master these really hard fights. And you know, it's just even on low budget features, when you have kind of a fight scene, it's still kind of a ballet of, you know, really raw energy. So it's really good to, you know, see how long this takes and to master, and you know, when it gets pulled off. Philip, what about you?
I think it's important as well to make sure that when you hire people that they have got screen combat experience, because it's totally different. If you haven't been trained how to fight on screen, it's totally different to real life fighting. Like, I've worked with people before that have come from similar type film. They've had like 20 years experience, and they're used to screen combat because they can't adjust to the fact that now you've got to change the way you fight, because it's not like a real fight. So you need to have actors that have done it, obviously, and stunt guys that have done fighting properly, because yeah, it's no good just coming from an industry if you have done 20 years, because that's great. Yes, it's good to have the martial arts experience because you know how to move and flow properly, but you need to know how to make it look realistic and how to obviously keep your distance and do silly things that just you'd probably never do in a real fight because it just wouldn't work. But on camera, it looks fancy and it looks brilliant, and the audience go, whoa. But in real life, you go, nah, that don't work. That's bullshit, mate. I would have killed you by now, or beat you up, But yeah, you got to learn to change your mindset, because it's like, right, it doesn't matter what would happen in a real fight. This is what will happen on screen, that the audience go, whoa, that looks cool. Because the majority of the industry don't get the fact that it wouldn't work. You might get people that have been fighters for years that might watch it and go, that's well unrealistic and stupid. But then 90% again of the population are clueless, that haven't come from combat experience. They'll just watch it and go, whoa, you know, and they love it.
Yeah. You got to start again with a fight scene on a movie and stuff, and no matter how good you are at martial arts, it's like that's that shit. It's not real. You got to start again. You got to start fresh. You got to learn how to hit without hitting people, and then when you go back to your martial arts, then you're doing that in the ring or whatever, on the mats or with your partner, and you're thinking, wow, that isn't that person, because you've been doing it so long in film. Yeah, it's completely different. It is fun. It is fun.
Yeah, that's good. The last question is, what are the differences between? Right, we've literally just answered this question as well. Sorry about this, guys. But what are the differences between martial arts in real life and martial arts on screen? I think we should, just finish up by, just a run through.
To answer that, it's again what we've covered most of anyway. It's distancing is the biggest thing. So you would always be double the distance as what you would normally. So normally you'd be right up close and you're making sure that your fist goes through the head. Whereas with screen combat and when you're fighting on film, you're probably going to have your fist about half a meter away from the head so that you don't actually hit it. And then the angle makes it look like you've hit it by their reaction, whether they're going back or whether they're turning to the side and reacting to the punches, depending on which way it's hit them, or whether it's a kick or headbutt or whatever you're hitting them with. So I think distance is probably the biggest. And then again, cues. So each like punch, as an example, will have a cue. So if we're fighting here, like now, obviously realistic fight, you'd keep your guard up close to your face, but you don't want to ruin your face and screen. So your hands are generally lower because you need to see your face as an actor. You don't want to be blocking it. You want to be hiding it, showing it, and you'd probably be a bit wider as well so they can really see your face on camera.
Yeah.
And then there's little things like, if I'm going to hook you right now, you do little things like, this is like my signal. I'm coming. It's kind of saying I'm coming. And then you do like what's called like a haymaker, and you cross the line of the camera and you hit him like that. Whereas obviously a real fight, it's a lot more compact, you're a lot tighter, and you just twist and you're straight in there. There's none of this like warning of, hey, I'm coming, which looks, when you do it in slow motion, it looks ridiculous. But, you know, they're the sort of things that you do in fight on screen, because you've got to tell them to, because in case the other fighter forgets what you're doing in the sequence, that hook, and then the other person remembers, oh shit, yeah, hook's coming, bang, I've got to go like this, because you might forget halfway through the sequence, fuck, what was I doing next? And then that tells you, or the same if you're doing a jab, it's the same thing. It would like, it's kind of like you're going, if I make it really exaggerated, if you're in like a punch now, you'd, oh, the fist is coming, and then you go for the jab.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not as exaggerated as that, but you'd have a very small like back motion to say like, look, the jab's coming. Similar little things. You wouldn't just straight away go bang and whack them, because they might forget and you might accidentally hit them if for any reason your distance is close. So there's a lot of things like that. Whereas obviously in real life, you're not thinking about distance. You're just thinking about how can I rip this guy's head off? And that it's as simple as that.
Yeah, you're not thinking about, do I look all right on camera?
Does it look right? Does it look fancy? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I used to do boxing as well, and part of that training is to make yourself, like you were saying before about, you know, make yourself a smaller target. So you put like that. And in movies, I've just been watching them, and the stances are like that, you know.
Yeah, it's very wide. Yeah,
pieces apart.
It's all about you got to sell it as well. That's why all your punches are coming wide and stuff. And I mean, you can make some sort of slight contact with kicks and stuff, and you can make it look real with the slightest touch of your clothing, and then it's just how the other person reacts to it and stuff, and you can make it look real cool. But yeah, it's selling the moves and stuff like that. But yeah, it's very cool.
And again, to go on to that, I think that's when the person attacking has to learn to have resistance. So if that's your leg and I'm kicking it, normally you'd kick with as much force as possible and you follow through. So obviously it's kick, and I want that to go as far as possible. It's that momentum. Whereas on a film, if you want to hit with a bit of impact, you've got to control it so that when it gets to there, it sort of like stops you, but there's no resistance to push it through, because you're not carrying on with your power and your force. You're kind of hitting, but you're resisting. You know, it's like a stop. And it's exactly the same with swords. When I've done a lot of sword training, you do the same thing. You hit the sword, but you've got to learn to control it. So as it hits, you get the chang, but you're not following through like trying to smash your sword in half, because A, it tires you out, and B, you break them and damage them. And, you know, so you want to just hit it with the force, but you've got to control it so that it stops. And there's a lot of stuff like that. Same like Phil was saying with kicks, knees, you can do knees to the stomach again, but you don't follow through. You just tap the stomach, or they go down like as if you've winded them, or whether you've kicked them in the bollocks, whatever it is, you know, and you react to it depending on.
Say with anything. I mean, you can do a simple jab to the head, and it's like a puppet. Your head's on the string. It's like on a spring, and when you punch, your head goes back, and you can bring it straight backwards and forwards. It's just how you work with that person. Again, it's working with the right person as well. If you work with someone who's never done many fight stuff, or who's never done any screen fights, and then it can be difficult. But it's always good to work with someone who's done it before.
Yeah. I mean, especially with fight scenes, it's with fight scenes and versus real life fights. You know, it's the performance is so much better than real life fights, because it's so much more layered, I reckon. But yeah, just to go off, there's a lot of training involved, and yeah, I think both of you have contributed to this interview quite well, and I've loved every second of it, really. I think you get, you know, and I'm so glad you made it, Shane. I wasn't really sure. I knew Philip, we were in contact, but I'm glad Shane showed up. And
Well, like I said, I had to bring someone else because it was Irina who put me on to you, and who else could I put on this interview than Shane? He's an amazing guy. He knows what he's talking about. You can't fault him. And
I was going to say
like
Shane knows his stuff, and you know,
he
You
does.
can't blame the ego now.
He knows. He's a good guy. He's charging now. He's putting his price up now. Isn't it?
That's it. My fee's going up now, Phil. My fe's going up.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many things happening now for next year. I mean, I've got a few films what's coming up. One of my medial films, Plague Pits, which I'm hoping to get going off soon, and to have Shane on it and to fight Shane. Be really cool. To use the aluminium saws, to use rubber saws and stuff like that is just an amazing thing to do. But yeah, I've also got some else coming up. I can't tell you that.
No.
I am a lead star in it, but I've also put Shane as a lead star in it as well. But yeah, I can't tell you what's going to come out of it. But I have got some else coming up. I have been offered a nice role. I'm playing a film called Charmed in London, which is about 3 witches, which I'm proud to announce that a friend of mine, Lisa Kate, who's a co-producer and director at Talent Image Entertainment, who's making this film, she wanted me to play the long lost brother to one of the witches. So there's something really interesting there where with my character is really cool to do, but I can't go into that. I'm looking forward to that in June. This pandemic doing is going to let us film stuff. You never know what the government's going to do. But yeah, big acting roles. I want to move away from doing fights and stuff one day and just do a full-on drama. That's what I would love to do as well. But yeah,
that'd be great. That's great for you next year. You've pretty much all booked up, aren't you?
I do take on too much.
Same here.
But yeah, it doesn't matter only Texas as well. It could take me 4 years, 3 years, and whatever it is. And I've worked on a film. It's to like a couple of months, I think the longest one was about 10 months to 11 months it took to film. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting year, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. Shane, what about you? What's next year holding for you?
Well, I don't tend to tell people too much in the far future because I think a lot of the stuff in this industry, A, can change, B, there's never really dates set in stone. Of course, Phil just mentioned about the Plague Pits. That'll be sometime next year, if I get my words out. But my main project in January is I'll be on that for about 4 to 6 weeks. We're just waiting for the shoot schedule and when we're doing it. But that's actually a very different one where it's going to be a documentary and I'm going to be the interviewer in the documentary. So that's something I've always wanted to do as well. And I haven't really done that before, so I was quite honoured when she asked me. We was meant to be shooting the film for it, but she's delayed the film by a year. She's releasing the documentary on her life first, then the film will be done probably about a year later. So so I had that booked for like 6 months of this year for next year. Then it sort of changed everything a little bit because it's like we're not doing the film now we're doing the documentary. Okay, fair enough. But then she asked me to be the interview and it was okay, great. So I don't really have a shoot schedule yet. I've been told January, so hopefully next week or something I should get an idea of when we're going to start doing that. That's probably the first project of the year. And then after that, like I said, I tend to keep things under wraps because I know this industry, things change a lot, dates change, things move. I've got a couple of films over in the States that I've been cast for. I've got a big game, which I'll be releasing on social media soon. I've been in talks with a games company for about 6 months now on PS4 and PS5. It's actually on pre-order on the PlayStation Store now. And I play a character in that, which, I'll be able to release the details on social media probably in about a week. He's just drawing up the character designs right now to show what he's going to look like. So that'll be pretty cool to see myself as a cartoon gaming character. So again, we'll be doing the motion capture and the voiceover for that, I think around summertime next year. Just waiting for the dates again on that. Then I'm cast as one of the lead baddies again in another film over in over in the States again, but I've got no dates on that. So at the moment, there's a lot of things that I've got booked for, but there's no exact date. So until I know, it's hard to say when they'll be happening and stuff like that, because things happen, people delay things, people bring stuff forward, or they might invite you to something else instead. So I just do one job at a time, really. The next one is the documentary, and then I'll take the next one after that and see what happens after that, really.
Cool. What's the documentary about?
It's about the lady's life. Basically, she was abused since the age of 4 years old. So it was quite sad, really. All kinds of abuse you could imagine: physical, sexual, verbal, emotional, every abuse possible. She went through everything. And now she's an actress and presenter, and she's kind of turned her life around. So it's kind of a bit of a story going around some of the places where she was brought up and places she moved to and stuff, and going through really how it makes her feel and all that sort of stuff. So it's a really inspirational story, which is what she's doing it for, to hopefully encourage others to come out of their sort of cupboard as such, and tell their story. Because a lot of people hide on these things and don't really ever say anything, kind of sit on these emotions, where it's good to get out and tell people what you've been through. And then, of course, once that's there and once people kind of know who she is a little bit more now, and you've inspired some people, it makes it more sellable for the film then. So when it becomes a very dramatic film, it's a bit like, it's more pitchable to people like Netflix and Amazon Prime or whoever wants to buy it. They're more likely to give you the funding that you want because you've got this big successful documentary, that's also been released on Amazon or wherever it gets released. So that's kind of the picture of it. And then there'll be like scenes where we do, like reenactments, so there'll be like scenes of like somebody abusing a kid and stuff like that, which will be in the film, because I was playing the lead baddie actually in the film. But we will have it so that now it's like a reenactment instead, so obviously someone will do like the voiceover, which might be myself, and then showing some sort of like quick flashback scene of what she went through, what could be her describing her emotions during that time. I'm not quite sure how she wants to put it together yet, but we're getting, hopefully, like I said, on the call next week is my plan, hopefully to finalize what, how she wants to structure it and what locations we're filming in, because I know we'll be doing some like in Luton, Yorkshire, London, a few different places around the country. So it'd be quite different, exciting type of project that I've not done before. Yeah, it sounds quite a unique project as well. And it's very encouraging to see you guys like delving into different sections of the industry, like the different genres and stuff like that. It's, so it just shows a lot of variety. It's an interesting industry to work with. It's very hard. It can be very hard as well and very difficult. But you can have one big film and just I've concentrate on that one film for a full year. Or you can have a few films, but anything can happen and things can get delayed and stuff, and it's actually good to be signed up on different projects. But when you get to do stuff like that, there's another thing. It's even when we get to film, we don't know what's going to happen with the way the world is at the minute. But I would like to thank everybody who's worked on many films. I take my hat off to all the main big people up there who were trying to get to that level. And the people, I want to thank everybody I've worked with as well, like Shane and many other people I've worked with. But yeah, without them guys, you can't really do many things really. It's all down to the team you're with. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You have that passionate team, and you can run ahead with the project, and you end up with something unique and special, and it's something that you'd have for forever. So it's very good. Yeah, I love it. I think that's everything. Unless you guys want to ask me any questions or want anything, okay. I suppose I've just had a brainwave of the one question you asked earlier. We could chuck that on there about the stunt you'd like to do. Yeah. And another one as well is to go on to like the combat side of it. Now, I've recently got more into the motion capture side of it for the games, which I'm looking to do more of that next year. And that's really good fun because, again, a lot of the stunt comes into it because you'll do break falls, you'll do whether it's weapon work, unarmed combat, martial arts, you do fight sequences as well. So I think a goal of mine is I'd love to play like the lead character of an up and coming like Call of Duty game. You know, I'd love to do something like that and be like the main sort of soldier, do the voiceover, do obviously all the motion with the weapons, and then you'd be the main character in the game. You know, I'd love to do something like that.
Yeah, that
It'd be
sounds
cool
really
for my
cool.
kids as well to see me doing that. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So, are you into your games?
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, I've on this desk right now. I've got a full-on gaming computer.
Nice.
I'll just give you a little show. Yeah, so I mean, it is my brother's technically, but I
was going to
use
say
it.
because they're not cheap either, them, are they?
Sorry?
They're not cheap either, them.
Oh, hell no. I think the monitor itself is a couple of grand.
Yeah, they're crazy. I know I was looking at gaming computers recently. They're about bloody $6,000 or something stupid. I was like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy amount, but the amount of games you can get on it is just astronomical. I've not got any time for games right now, unfortunately.
I think for
Yeah,
me, I mean, I love games. I mean, I play Call of Duty and stuff like that, but I've never actually worked on a game, just like Shane has. And when I saw his stuff he's been doing, his motion stuff, it does look really cool.
Yeah,
How he's changed into the character for the film, to the game. Yeah, it's really cool.
yeah, and how the motion capture just captures the you know, captures the motion, but you know, his performance and everything like that, and it's just in the game, and it looks really cool and quite dynamic and awesome. So yeah, I love playing games anyway. I can talk to the end of the world about it, but anyway, I think we should wrap this up and get some dinner.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, great stuff. Thank you both very much for being a part of this. It has been a great help, and I'm sure it'll be a great help to other people who watch this.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Been good speaking to you.
It's been great speaking to you. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon and have a happy new year.
Yeah,
You too. All the best, mate.